All right, welcome back, BSC students, to another deep dive. I am seriously thrilled to guide you through this explainer for Module 2.2. Today, we're setting the stage for a really fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying journey. We're going to trace exactly how modern cyber threats escalate. We'll start with the psychological tricks of, basic human manipulation, and then build all the way up to those invisible, highly sophisticated software exploits that literally keep security professionals awake at night. So grab your notes because this is where the theory actually meets the real-world threat landscape. Okay, so here's our agenda for today. First up, the human vulnerability. Then we'll get into the malware ecosystem. Third, the ransomware lifecycle. And finally, number 4, invisible stealth attacks. Let's jump right into Section 1, the human vulnerability, hacking the mind before hacking the machine. So we're shifting our focus completely away from technical glitches for a second and zooming in on psychological triggers. And I want to pose this pretty provocative question directly to you. Why spend weeks trying to hack a super complex, heavily firewalled system when you can just hack a human in like 5 minutes? The really crucial takeaway here is that social engineering doesn't exploit code. It exploits human psychology. It leverages our natural instincts, our trust, our fear, maybe a little greed, and especially our sense of urgency, to trick us into bypassing literally millions of dollars worth of security infrastructure. To understand exactly how they pull this off, let's break down the 6-step social engineering attack cycle using a super relatable campus example. Okay, step 1 is reconnaissance. The attacker scrapes public student directories just to find your details. Step 2, infrastructure. They register a fake university domain that looks almost identical to your real student portal. Step 3 is engagement. This is where you get that frantic email claiming your portal access is about to be disabled. Step 4, capture. Panicked, you click the link, land on their fake site, and type in your password. Step 5, cash out. The attacker immediately uses those credentials on the real portal and downloads your personal or financial records. And finally, step 6, evasion. They delete the fake domain and poof, they vanish. It's a highly structured, very repeatable business model. Now, notice how reliably attackers use the exact same red flags. You're almost always going to see an artificial sense of urgency, like an account closing subject line, an unexpected link, or a mismatched sender domain. But look closely at that 4th bullet point on the list. This is the ultimate red flag. Legitimate services, whether we're talking about your bank, the university, or your payment app, they will absolutely never ask you for an OTP or your password over an email or phone call. Never. If you're ever asked for an OTP, you are being hacked. Full stop. Moving right along to Section 2, the malware ecosystem, demystifying malicious software. So, when that human vulnerability is successfully exploited, well, we enter the malware ecosystem. Malware is basically a broad umbrella term. It stands for malicious software, which is software intentionally designed to cause harm, steal information, gain unauthorized access, or disrupt systems. And hey, a quick reminder for my BSE students here. Downloading free cracked software for your classes or projects, yeah, that is one of the absolute prime entry points for these payloads. You might think you're scoring a free video editor, but actually, scratch that, you're usually just installing a backdoor right into your own machine. Now, let's make sure you can distinctly differentiate the main flavors of malware, because it's like a bad menagerie out there. A virus requires a host. It actually attaches itself to a file, like a Word doc, and only spreads when you execute that file. A worm, on the other hand, is completely self-replicating. It doesn't need you to click anything. It just crawls across network vulnerabilities on its own, causing really rapid, wide-scale disruption. Then you have the Trojan. Just like the wooden horse from history, it relies on deception. It pretends to be that legitimate crack software we just talked about, but it's hiding a malicious backdoor. And finally, a botnet. This one turns your perfectly functioning laptop, or honestly even your smart TV, into a remotely controlled zombie node, silently using your bandwidth to launch massive DDoS attacks or send out spam. All right, Section 3, the ransomware lifecycle, modern digital extortion. It's time to shatter a really common myth right now. Ransomware is not just some single unfortunate click that instantly locks your computer. It's a whole entire life cycle. Let's look at the timeline. At minute 0, the attacker gains initial access, maybe through a phishing email. Then, over the next few hours, or even days, they quietly engage in privilege escalation and lateral movement, basically sneaking around the network to find your most valuable servers and backups. Then, at 0 hour, boom, they strike. They steal data and encrypt systems simultaneously. It's only days later that you actually get the extortion demand. And then, it takes weeks, sometimes even months, for an organization to fully recover and rebuild. And here is why this matters so much today. Attackers have evolved. We're now living in the era of double extortion. They don't just encrypt your data anymore. They also threaten to publish your stolen, private files on the dark web. So to put that into perspective, simply having a backup isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card anymore. Because if they leak sensitive student records or confidential patient data, the damage is already done. The only way to actually break this cycle is through really rigorous preventative defenses. We're talking offline immutable backups, endpoint detection and response systems, and strict network segmentation.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Invisible Stealth Attacks, Zero-Day and Zero-Click Realities.
As we reach the climax of this explainer, we are looking at literally the most stealthy, cutting-edge attacks in existence. But let's clarify our definitions first. A zero-day vulnerability is a previously unknown or unpatched flaw in hardware, firmware, or software. The term zero-day literally means the software vendor and the defenders have had 0 days to create a fix or a patch. Why? Because they just found out about it, usually because it's already out there being exploited. What this means is that even perfectly configured, fully updated systems are totally at risk if the patch literally doesn't exist yet. Now let's draw a hard, clear line between these two terms, because this is a core learning objective for your module. On the left, a zero-day attack relies on that unpatched flaw, but the attacker often still needs you to do something, right? Like click a malicious link in an email to trigger the exploit. Because of that, it's sometimes called a one-click attack. But on the right, we have the genuinely terrifying reality of a zero-click attack. This compromises a device instantly. You do not have to interact, you don't have to click a link or tap a message whatsoever. A malicious hidden message is just processed by your phone in the background, and suddenly, without you ever touching it, the attacker has full control of your device's camera, microphone, and data. Because we're up against zero-click threats, simply telling users, hey, don't click bad links, is completely useless now. So how do we build a real defensive strategy? Well, we patch systems the absolute moment updates are released. We reduce our attack surface by deleting apps and turning off services we don't actively use. For high-risk individuals, we enable advanced lockdown modes on our devices. We physically separate high-risk networks. And at an organizational level, we implement zero-trust architecture. This means we never, ever trust a device or user by default, and we're constantly verifying every single access request. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about the psychology of social engineering, the sheer stealth of modern malware, and the invisible, silent threat of zero-click attacks, based on the principles of zero trust, how secure is your digital footprint right now? It's really time to check those device permissions, update those operating systems, and start treating your digital security with the serious respect it demands. I really hope you found this explainer incredibly valuable today. Keep studying, stay curious, and stay secure out there.